Welcome in, everybody. We're diving deep today into clear thinking. You sent over this awesome video summary of Shane Parrish's book, Clear Thinking. It's from the QuickBook IQ YouTube channel. And yeah, we're excited to unpack this with our expert today. I think this is such a cool topic.
It's great to be here. I think everyone really can benefit from improving their thinking.
Yeah, clear thinking, it's like a superpower. It can help you make, well, any decision, whether it's a big life choice or something small.
It really can. And this video, it starts off by acknowledging that it's not always easy to think clearly. There are these roadblocks that we all encounter. One of the big ones that the video pointed out is, emotions. Like sometimes our emotions can just completely take over. And it's like we can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like when you're super excited about something, or really angry, it's like you have these blinders on, right?
Yeah. Exactly. You get tunnel vision. And the video gave this great example of like when you're feeling that rush of excitement, you might make a decision that feels good in the moment, but has negative consequences later on.
That reminds me so much of this one time, this was a while ago, but I saw this flash sale for plane tickets, and it seemed like such an amazing deal. Like I couldn't pass it up. So I booked it,
Yeah.
right away without really thinking. But you know what? The dates ended up being right in the middle of a huge work conference.
Oh, that's the worst.
I know. Total bummer.
It's so easy to get caught up in the moment, especially when those emotions are running high.
Totally.
And it's not just those like internal emotions that can throw us off. The video also talked about, social pressure, like how sometimes we make decisions based on what other people think or expect of us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a big one. It's like we're constantly trying to balance what we want with what everyone else expects of us. And sometimes that pressure to conform can, well, it can make us lose sight of our own needs and desires.
It really can. And that's why one of the things that the video emphasized is the importance of creating space to listen to our own inner voice, like to tune out that external noise and really connect with what we truly want.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It's about finding that balance between being aware of other people's perspectives and also staying true to ourselves. So, okay, we've talked about emotions, we've talked about social pressure, but then even when we manage to, navigate all that, there's this other beast that we have to face, choice paralysis, like that feeling of being totally overwhelmed when you have too many options to choose from. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have at some point. Shane Parrish, the author of Clear Thinking, he argues that a lot of times this paralysis of choice comes from, well, our desire for perfection. Like, we want to make the absolute best possible choice. And so we get stuck in this cycle of endless analysis.
I've definitely been there. Like you're shopping online and you spend hours comparing different products, reading reviews, but then you end up not buying anything because it just becomes too much.
And sometimes, the best decision really is just to make a quick choice, to just pick something and move on. The video really stressed that, especially with everyday decisions.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're just trying to decide what to have for lunch, you don't need to spend hours researching different recipes.
Exactly. Sometimes overthinking just wastes time and energy.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
It's all about finding that balance.
Right.
Like knowing when to make a quick decision and when to take a more considered approach.
That's why I think Shane Parrish really emphasized reflection. Taking that pause to step back and really think things through.
It's like that analogy he uses in the video, cleaning a foggy window. Reflection allows us to wipe away all the distractions and the assumptions and see things more clearly.
Yeah, I love that analogy because it's so true. When we take the time to reflect, it's like we can finally see the situation for what it really is without all that mental clutter.
Right. It's about creating that mental space for clarity to emerge.
Okay, so we've talked about navigating emotions, dealing with social pressure, overcoming choice paralysis, and the importance of reflection. But one of the things that really got me excited in this video was the discussion of mental models, these tools that we can use to make better decisions.
Mental models, yes. Those are so powerful. And one that the video really highlighted was first principles thinking. Have you heard of that one?
I have. It's about getting to the root of a problem, breaking it down to its fundamental elements.
Exactly. It's about stripping away all those assumptions and preconceived notions and then building up a solution from there.
Yeah, it's like you're starting from scratch. You're not letting those old ways of thinking limit you.
Exactly. And the video gave this great example of using first principles thinking to make a career change. Instead of just following the traditional path, you would analyze your core values, your skills, your passions, and then build a career that's truly aligned with who you are.
That's such a cool way to think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there was another model that the video mentioned that I found really intriguing. It's called the inversion model.
The inversion model. What is that one? I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
It's this really interesting approach to problem solving where you basically flip the script. Like, instead of focusing on how to achieve success, you ask yourself, how could I potentially fail?
Oh, wow. So instead of asking, like, how can I plan an amazing vacation, I should be asking, like, what could possibly go wrong on this trip?
Exactly. And it's not about being pessimistic. It's more about like anticipating potential obstacles and finding ways to address them proactively.
That's such a smart strategy.
And then, of course, there's probabilistic thinking, which I think is really helpful when you're dealing with uncertainty. Oh, tell me more about that one.
It's about recognizing that, we can't predict the future with 100% certainty. So instead of trying to find a guaranteed outcome, you focus on understanding the likelihood of different outcomes.
So it's about assessing the risks and the rewards.
Exactly. It's about making more informed decisions, even when you don't have all the answers.
Okay, so we've got all these awesome mental models to work with, but like the video really stressed that none of it matters if we're not self-aware. Like if we don't understand our own biases and those patterns of thinking that can sometimes lead us astray.
Self-awareness is key, absolutely. And one of the big biases that the video talked about was confirmation bias, where we tend to seek out information that confirms what we already believe, even if it's not actually true.
Confirmation bias. Yeah, that's a tough one to break. And I think we're all susceptible to it to some degree. Oh, absolutely. It's something that we all have to be aware of. And the video also talked about the availability bias, which is where, we tend to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easy to recall or that are really vivid in our minds.
That one, I'm so guilty of that one. Like, do you remember that time I refused to swim in the ocean because I'd been watching all those shark documentaries?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Logically, I knew that the chances of actually encountering a shark were, like, incredibly slim. But all those images from the documentaries, they were just stuck in my head, and it completely warped my perception of the risk.
It's amazing how powerful those mental images can be, right? And it really highlights how important it is to be aware of those biases so that they don't like hijack our decision making.
For sure. It's about taking a step back and saying, okay, is this fear rational? Or is it just my availability bias talking?
Exactly. And, along with self-awareness, the video also emphasized the importance of taking responsibility for our choices, like owning the consequences, whether they're positive or negative, and seeing our decisions as opportunities to learn and grow.
I love that. Because ultimately, we are the ones in the driver's seat of our lives. We can't just blame our circumstances or other people for our choices.
We have the power to choose how we respond to those situations and to learn from those experiences.
Absolutely. But, even when we're trying our best to make clear decisions, we all run into this thing called decision fatigue. That feeling of mental exhaustion that comes from making too many choices. The video mentioned that.
Decision fatigue is real. It's like our brains just get tired of making decisions. And when that happens, we're more likely to make impulsive choices or to just avoid making decisions altogether.
So what can we do to combat decision fatigue? I mean, it feels like we're making decisions all day long.
Well, the video had some good suggestions, like simplifying your options, automating routine decisions, and focusing your energy on choices that really matter.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, if you create a morning routine, you don't have to spend time each day deciding what to do first. You just follow the routine.
Exactly. And things like meal prepping or using a capsule wardrobe can really help to free up mental space because you're not making those same decisions over and over again.
Oh, cool. Wow. This is so insightful. I feel like we're building a toolkit for clear thinking. Like, we've identified those common roadblocks, emotions, social pressure, choice paralysis, and decision fatigue. And then we've got all these amazing tools to work with: reflection, mental models, self-awareness, and personal responsibility.
That's a great way to put it. And it's important to remember that clear thinking, it's not a destination, it's a journey.
I love that. It's an ongoing process of learning and growing.
Absolutely. And the more we practice, the better we become at navigating those challenges and making those clear, confident choices that move us closer to the lives we want to create.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This is just part one of our deep dive, so stay tuned for more insights and actionable strategies to help you unlock the power of clear thinking in your own life.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Ready for more.
Oh yeah, let's keep going. I think what's so fascinating about this whole idea of clear thinking is that it's not just about, like, making better choices. It's really more about cultivating a way of being in the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The video even used this really powerful metaphor of like clearing away the fog in our minds. Like when we start to think more clearly, it's like everything just becomes more spacious and more vibrant.
Yes, it's like all those doubts and anxieties, they just start to dissolve away, and we're left with this sense of, well, clarity and peace.
Exactly. And the video even talked about how clear thinking can lead to this feeling of lightness. Like, we feel less burdened, less weighed down by all that mental clutter.
It's like we're finally in control of our own thoughts and actions.
It's really empowering, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Because it means we're no longer at the mercy of our emotions or, those external pressures. We're making conscious choices. Choices that are aligned with our values.
And that's a huge shift. It's about moving from a reactive state to a proactive one. Like instead of just reacting to whatever life throws at us, we're actively shaping our lives.
You know what I love about exploring these topics? It's those shifts in perspective, those aha moments that can really change how we see the world and how we live our lives.
Absolutely. And this journey towards clear thinking, it's not a one-time thing, right? It's an ongoing process.
Totally. It's like a practice, something that we have to cultivate over time.
Right. And one of the key things that the video talked about was, learning to separate our emotions from logic when we're making decisions.
That's a tough one, though, right? I mean, emotions are a part of who we are.
They are. But when it comes to making clear decisions, we need to be able to create some space between those emotions and our rational thinking.
So it's not about ignoring our emotions. It's more about not letting them completely take over.
Exactly. And, the video also talked about the importance of recognizing external influences, like being aware of all the messages that we're bombarded with every day.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, it's everywhere. Like what we should think, what we should buy, what we should be doing. It's so easy to get caught up in all that noise.
It really is. And that's why it's so important to develop that critical thinking muscle, to be able to question those messages and decide for ourselves what we really believe in.
It's about like filtering out the noise and tuning into our own inner compass.
And that's where reflection comes in. Remember that. The video really emphasized that. It's about slowing down, taking time to process, to really listen to our own thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, that pause button. I think we need that more than ever these days.
I agree. Because it's in those moments of quiet reflection that we can really connect with our intuition, with our inner wisdom.
I think what's so cool about this video summary is that it doesn't just talk about these concepts in a vague, abstract way.
Yeah.
Like it actually gives us practical tools that we can use.
The mental models, yes.
Exactly. Like they provide a framework for approaching decisions in a more structured way. It's like instead of just feeling lost and confused, we have these maps that we can use to guide us.
That's a great analogy. And of course, we have to remember self-awareness. That's
Yeah.
crucial, right? Like being aware of our own biases, those sneaky patterns of thinking that can sometimes lead us astray.
Oh, totally. Like confirmation bias, right? Where we only see what we want to see.
Exactly. And the availability bias, too. Like when we make decisions based on the information that's most easily accessible to us, even if it's not the most accurate. Remember my shark phobia.
I still can't believe you let a couple of documentaries keep you out of the water.
I know, I know. But it really highlights how powerful those biases can be.
Totally. So being aware of those biases, that's like the first step. But then what? How do we actually prevent them from influencing our decisions?
Well, the video emphasized the importance of taking responsibility, like acknowledging that we are the ones who are making these choices and that we have the power to choose differently.
It's like we can't just blame our circumstances or other people for our decisions. We have to own them.
Right. And see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
But even when we're trying our best to be self-aware and responsible, life throws a lot of decisions at us.
Yeah.
And I think that's when decision fatigue can really set in. The video talked about that, right?
Yeah. Decision fatigue is a real thing. It's like our brains have a limited supply of decision-making energy, and when we use it all up, well, we start to make mistakes.
So what can we do about it?
Well, the video had some great tips, like simplifying our options. Like instead of having 10 different options for breakfast, you narrow it down to 2 or 3.
That makes sense.
And then there's automating routine decisions. Like if you always have the same thing for breakfast, you don't even have to think about it.
I like that. It's like putting those decisions on autopilot.
Right. And then the other big thing is focusing on what truly matters. Like what are the decisions that are really going to make a difference in your life? Those are the ones that deserve your full attention.
So it's about being more intentional with our decision-making energy, not wasting it on things that don't really matter.
Exactly. And, all of this It comes back to that idea of self-awareness that we were talking about before, like being aware of our own limits and knowing when we need to take a break, step back, recharge.
Yeah. Because ultimately, we can't make clear decisions if we're running on empty.
Exactly. We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally.
Wow, this has been so eye-opening. I feel like we're really starting to get a handle on this whole idea of clear thinking.
It's definitely a journey, but it's a journey worth taking.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. We talked about emotions, external pressures, the importance of reflection, and some practical strategies for combating decision fatigue. But where do we go from here? How do we actually put all of this into practice?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm really excited to dive into this last part of our deep dive into clear thinking. You know, as we were getting ready for this episode, one question just kept coming up for me, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Like, what is it about clear thinking that makes it so powerful? Why should we even care?
That's a great question. And it's something that, the video summary touched on really well. It's not just about making, better decisions in isolation. It's about, well, the impact those decisions have on our lives as a whole.
Yeah, I think I see what you mean. Like, it's not just about the outcome of a single decision, right? It's more about the direction that those decisions lead us in.
Exactly. It's about creating a life that, feels aligned, that feels fulfilling, a life that's more in tune with, who we really are at our core.
Okay, yeah, I love that. Because it's not just about making a bunch of random good decisions, right? It's more like, how do we use clear thinking to craft a life that we actually want?
That's a great way to put it. It's like we become the architects of our own lives.
Okay, so how does that actually play out in the real world, I mean?
Well, let's say you're facing a big decision, like a major life decision. It could be about your career or a relationship or, just a big change that you're thinking about making. In the past, maybe you would have gotten stuck in that cycle of overthinking, worrying about all the what ifs.
Ugh, tell me about it. It's like my brain just goes into overdrive and I can't seem to shut it off.
But with the tools of clear thinking, you can approach that same decision in a totally different way. You can acknowledge your emotions, but you don't let them control you. You can seek out different perspectives, but you also stay grounded in your own values. You can use those mental models that we talked about to break down the problem, analyze the different
So
options.
it's like instead of feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed, you actually feel more in control.
Exactly. And when you make decisions from that place of clarity and confidence, you're much more likely to take action, to actually go after what you want.
So it's like clear thinking helps us to break free from like those self-imposed limitations, those fears that might have been holding us back.
Right. And the cool thing is, when we start making decisions that are truly aligned with who we are, well, that often leads to more success in other areas of our lives, too.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you're feeling fulfilled and purposeful, you're more likely to put in the effort, to persevere through challenges. You're more likely to build stronger relationships. You're more likely to achieve those goals that you set for yourself.
It's like clear thinking creates this ripple effect.
It really does.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I think this is what's so exciting about all this clear thinking. It's not like some special talent that only certain people are born with, right? It's something that anyone can develop.
Absolutely. It's a skill. And like any skill, it takes practice. But the more we practice, the better we get at it.
So where do we even start?
Well, we've talked about a lot of different tools and strategies, but I think one of the simplest things you can do is just pick one mental model that resonates with you and start using it.
Yeah.
Like next time you have to make a decision, big or small, just try applying that model and see what happens.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's about like taking this out of the theoretical realm and actually putting it into practice.
Exactly. And don't worry about being perfect at first. It's all about experimentation.
And remember, like you don't have to do this alone. Find people who support you, who challenge you to think in new ways.
Absolutely. Community is so important.
Well, I have to say, this has been such an inspiring conversation. Like, I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this whole idea of clear thinking, but we've already covered so much ground. And I want to thank you, dear listener, for being here with us on this journey.
Yes, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Remember, you have the power within you to make clear, confident choices, choices that create a life you truly love. So keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. This has been The Deep Dive, and we'll see you next time.